Let's go, folks. Time for the Gibby Show.
How you doing, baseball fans, and welcome to another edition of the Gibby Show, presented by Miller Lite, the official beer of Major League Baseball and the Gibby Show. I'm John Arezzi, and joining me, the two-time manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. He's a member of the 1986 world champion New York Mets, best-selling author, the man who always tells it like it is, and he's direct once again from his home in San Antonio, Texas, the baseball life for himself, John Gibbons. Gibby, how you doing?
Johnny, doing good, man. Just like you, just following that baseball stuff every week. And I guess you could say, are we considered semi-retired? Is that what we do? We're not fully retired, obviously. Are we
No, we're not fully retired, but I think we're both kind of semi-retired in our own ways.
Okay,
I know
exactly.
you're doing a lot of gardening. You're enjoying a lot of Miller Lite, but you had a pretty good week. It was your birthday this past June 8th, and I'm not going to mention any numbers. That's up to you to disclose if you'd like to. But how was the birthday this week down there?
Nice. Family got together. We got some good Mexican food, a couple margaritas. But hey, if you look at our skins, yours looks a lot smoother than mine. So
Hey, I wasn't in the
think I'm a
baseball
little older
dugout
than
for
you.
all those years. I wasn't in those high pressure situations that you were in all those years in the dugout. But you're looking pretty good for your age, John.
No, it's that Irish skin, man. You put it out in the sun too long without sunscreen. That's what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you always me with the full Italian blood. I mean, from southern Italy. I mean, I guess the
Smooth as
the
silk.
pigmentation is a little bit, I don't know what you call it, more olive oil like. I have no
Smooth.
idea. All I
Smooth,
know
like
is
that wine.
yes, my sister up in New York, who her birthday was actually June 11th, and same age as you, John. She's got this tan. She goes out in the sun for one day, and she gets a tan immediately.
Oh
Immediately,
yeah. It's the luck of the draw, brother, man.
exactly. And you got Father's Day this upcoming weekend as well. So that how was that in the Gibby household, especially this year where you got two new additions there, Waylon and Willie?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they'll drop me a few presents in the yard that I can
Sure they would.
scoop up. That's their. Yeah, I don't. My daughter might be around. My two boys, they live out of state, but I always enjoy this day.
Yeah.
It's a good day for them to spoil us, right? And I can look back on with my dad going out and playing catch, and my dad always barbecuing, and yeah, it's everybody loves these days.
Absolutely. Well, today's show, we'll cover a very newsworthy week for the Jays. On this week's Gabbing with Gibby, brought to you by Tim Hortons. Joining us will be Jays reliever and someone who's made such a big impact for the team in 2023, being called up at the end of April. We're talking about Nate Pearson, who will join us here in just a few minutes. We'll have another roast and toast inspired by our friends at Miller Lite as well. But let's get right into it, John, with the leadoff. Well, the Jays' 7-game homestand is over. They went 4-3 on the homestand, winning 3 of 4 against the Houston Astros, losing the first 2 against Minnesota. Then really a huge come-from-behind victory this past Sunday, highlighted by the 3-run homer by Cavan Biggio, which could have been the biggest hit this guy's ever had in his career. So that won the game. It was another save by Romano, and the W went to our Gabbing with Gibby guest, Nate Pearson. Gibby, can a game like this past Sunday's be kind of a catalyst for perhaps a turning point in the season for Toronto?
Johnny, it might. You never really know. All I know about baseball is you play every day, other than today's an off day, and it depends on your next opponent. Whether they're playing good or not playing good, or who's pitching against you and all that. It's because you're not really going to overpower anybody physically type thing. But they needed that. Put it that way. They won 3 out of 4 from Houston, and we're feeling really really good. And then Minnesota, who's basically a 500 team, but they're leading the Central Division. Figure that out, right?
Yeah.
And then you know what? Minnesota had a comeback win. Korea hit a big home run. to put them up. That's big league baseball, right? There's some good players
It
on both
is.
sides. But at home plate, there was a little controversy that happened through it all, and it was kind of a distraction. Um, but we won't get into all that. But there's still good players on the other team, and they're gonna make a mount a comeback every now and then. But I do think the fact that Beige hit that home run yesterday kind of sweetened the week a little bit because if they had dropped that one, it would have been a tough ending to the week.
Yeah, let's talk about Biggio for a second because a few weeks ago, everyone was like, get rid of the guy, get rid of the guy, get rid of the guy. And you're kind of like the voice of reason. And you're like, it's early in the season and there's a long season ahead. And so you always keep kind of a level head. And most of your predictions, if not all of them so far on this show, have been really correct in regard to kind of like voice of reason. You are the voice of reason.
I guess that depends on who you ask. But you know what, Johnny? One thing I found out over time is, at least from if you're in the dugout as a coach, right? You got to stay even keel. You blow up at things all the time, but you also got have to put things in perspective and understand that early on when everybody Biggio wasn't playing much at all, right?
No.
He'd get in there and maybe made a mistake or something, or had a couple tough at bats, so everybody wanted him out. He's basically the 25th guy on the team, right? Last guy or 26. I don't know even know how many they have on the roster now, but now you see he's been playing a little bit more lately, and so you give him some at bats. He's like all big leaguers. If you give him some at bats, they get their timing down. They're going to be productive. I mean, there's not a player in the big leagues that hasn't earned his right to get to the big leagues has been productive in the minor leagues. So there's something in there, right? But if you're not playing there, it's that much tougher. But you can't play everybody. That's the thing. You got your regulars and you got your backups. So, um,
And the
real quick. He's done a lot of good things up there, especially in the role he's played for young kids. Tough playing that limited playing time role when you're a young kid. It really is.
Yeah, it's you gotta, these guys got to keep sharp, and if you're riding the bench and you only get in one game a week, you have to be in there every day. And batting practice is just batting practice. It's not
Right.
real life game situation. But a question I had for you was like, everyone's always reactionary, the media, the fans, and as a manager for all those years, did that really piss you off when all of a sudden everyone's kind of attacking a move you made, reactionary, should have done this, or this player should be benched, or this guy should be traded? How did you handle that as a big league skipper?
Well, Johnny, yeah, you can't get caught up in that. We all have different opinions on what should be done, and when you're named the manager, that's your job to make those opinions. And then, of course, you get the involvement of the front office as well. But it's funny. I'll sit back and watch games now, and I get opinionated like that now that I'm not in the hot seat, right? And that's kind of the beauty of the game, right? Everybody's got their own ideas, and everybody may be right. I mean, we just look at things different, but there's only one guy that's paid to make those decisions, and that's John Snyder. And you know what? Your best moves sometimes backfire, and your worst moves you come out smelling like a rose sometimes. So that's just the way it works. But if you get caught up in that and become too emotional, next thing you know, you're a politician, and they put you in the in that arena.
Yeah.
But you guys, hey, level head, steadiness, man, will take you a long way, and confidence in those guys, and you got to back up those guys.
Yeah, and it's a long season, as you always point out here. And we were kind of talking before we started taping today about, all right, so the Jays are right now. They're still pretty far behind Tampa Bay, which doesn't seem to lose any series. They're doing really well. They're 28 games over 500 at this point of the season. The Jays are right there, however, in the wild card chase. I mean, they're just half a game as we tape this out of a playoff spot. But one thing that you pointed out, which is really relevant, is like, here we are, we're in the second week of June. And when you go back historically, even over the last 4 or 5 seasons, and I'm going to go to the National League for a second because it was really more prominent there. The past 4 full season pennant winners in the NL were all outside the playoff picture on June 12th. So what does that say, John? I mean, it's like It ain't over till it's over, as Yogi said.
Yeah, that's right. And you know what happens is, sometimes it takes a while things to click, right? Or maybe a team struggle in a certain area. Now they find somebody that can fill that hole, that void, or whatever, and things just click. I go back to, I don't like to live in the past, but I got to live in the past. Right in 2015, we were basically a 500 team at the trade deadline, and Thopoulos made these great deals, and it was like boom, right? So really, Jerry Howard, my good friend, and he's the longtime radio voice of the Blue Jays, used to tell me all the time. He goes, the difference makers in are really the front office, the general managers, right? Who makes the right moves? Who makes a move at all? Some don't want to make a move, or paralyzed or whatever. And the GMs that make the right move can really identify what's missing from a team or put it all together. Those guys. That's where you see teams take off, just like those teams you nailed right there. But you can go back in history a lot of times, and that's kind of what happens. That's why you play 162 games. Now in Tampa, let's say Tampa's case, like you just pointed out, I mean they're on one of those incredible seasons. Even they're even withstanding some of the injuries, but I think is probably surprising a lot of people. But that's not something that happens every year. So, but thank God for the wild cards, right? I mean that's the beauty of it all. Now finally they made baseball like all the other sports where half the teams get in, right? And that's what kind of
Yeah,
makes it exciting, and fan bases don't fall out in June because their teams 12 games out,
yeah.
Yeah, so it's a long road, but this is where the GMs will start to earn their stripes here in these
Yeah, I mean,
next
it's
few
different though
weeks.
over the last few years with the trade deadline. I mean, the trade deadline traditionally over all the years for many, many years was June 15th, and now it's the end of July. Do you think it would be better for baseball to kind of bring that trade deadline closer to middle of June, beginning of July, rather than wait till the end of July for these moves to be made by the GMs?
I usually I'm old fashioned and everything, but you know what? There's reasons they do those kind of things, and all I know is being an ex coach and manager, just take your team out there every day, try to win that day, try to pump your guys up and do the right things,
Yeah,
and then hope for the best, and hope you got an
and hope for
active
the best.
GM that can understand what's actually going on and make those deals. Got some
And hope for
guts,
the
you got to have some
hope
guts.
Yeah, hope for the right moves. So yeah, we have a long season to go still. I do want to follow up on last week's show. There was a move made just hours after our broadcast finished with Buck Martinez. The Blue Jays sent Alek Manoah down to the minor leagues. It's unclear when he'll be back. The right-hander was optioned to the rookie level Florida Complex League, and you and Buck both said last week on the program that the Jays couldn't put him back out there the way he was going. And you both agreed on that. And then it happens a couple hours later. But now that it has happened, Gibby, that he's basically starting from the beginning again, do you think that it was the right move to send him all the way down to start from scratch rather than just assigning him to Buffalo and AAA?
It's hard to answer that because not knowing, everything that's involved. But yeah, normally they just bump you down a level, right? Go get him, kid. Figure it out, right? That's the way it used to be. But now teams are so advanced more, and they work on this a little bit more. They more, a lot of different things. Um, and so it's and their top facilities. They got everything you want down there, in a lot of times in those spring training sites, right? Yeah, I was a little bit surprised. I figured he'd just go down to AAA and figure it out. But there may be a couple pitching coaches they want him to work with down there too, as well. Guys, I saw Quattro's name, maybe Pat Hankin, and some of the minor league actual coaches. So, but who knows? But I think everything I've heard, everybody feels good that this will help him out. Uh, Maybe they just want him to go down there and get in shape a little bit. Who knows? Because he's a big
Yes.
kid. Maybe for his stamina a little bit more, but he's going to be back. The team needs him. He's a tremendous kid, and he's accomplished too much in a short period of time for that to have been a fluke.
Yeah, it
But
could
he'll
be
be
not a
he'll be
lot of
back.
different things they'll work on. So, yeah, we'll all be excited when Alec returns to the Toronto Blue Jays. I want to remind everybody you're listening to the Gibby Show, presented by Miller Lite. And John, I know you were out there gardening. You posted uh, a really cool video on your socials of you lounging around reading your book with a Miller Lite in your hand. So it seems like Miller Lite is not too far from you when you're down there in Texas.
Now I was out there digging in my gardens out there. My wife loves roses. We got enough of those rose bushes, and I've been kind of falling behind. I think the medical community would have probably said you probably need something that replenishes your system a little more than that Miller Lite. But you know, I've never been known to be the smartest guy in the world, but I sure enjoyed it. And then I just kicked back and sat by the pool, read that book, took a nice little nap. Yeah, hey, we're just talking. We're semi-retired, so
Yeah,
what
there's
the
nothing
heck?
like a cold beer on a hot day. I tell you that. A cold Miller Lite on a hot day outside, especially here in Nashville where the humidity is high and you go out and you're like, need a Miller Lite, and there they are.
And then followed by a nice nap.
Very, very true, especially in our semi-retirement years. That is very true.
That's right.
Corner booths, sticky floors, weekdays that feel like weekends. You never forget the way some things taste. Miller Lite, great taste, 90 calories. Tastes like Miller time.
One last thing to bring up. Of course, the Jays are in the middle of a 9-game road trip against Baltimore, which is a AL East rival. Then head to Texas, who obviously atop of the AL Central. And then they had to face the surprising Miami Marlins, who are doing well. Gibby, as the team is in the middle of this stretch, what's a good way for them to finish it? I mean, what's the philosophy? Like, what do you win on the road? What are you happy with in a long road trip
Well,
like this?
yeah, it's not an easy trip. Like you said, they Baltimore, who swept them at home, not too long ago, and is ahead of them. And then go down to Texas, and then finish off down in Miami. That you kind of just hope to hold your own, right? And that you win at home and hold your own on the road. Now, if you're really good on the road and you're really good at home, that's where you get like what Tampa's doing now, right? But it'll be a test. But you know what? I mean, you're facing some good teams. You like look. You just spoke about Texas. Texas was just down in Tampa, and they lost 2 out of 3. So kind of you like to see those head-to-head first place teams kind of match up, just kind of see how it shakes up. So Texas finally got a taste of that house of horrors down there in old St. Pete. I tell you what. And then Miami. One thing Miami has is pitching, and they're starting to get a little more offense this year. So you can win a lot of games with that pitching. So it'll be a good test for them. But you know what? The big leagues it's a 162 game test. They just need to hold their own right now.
Yep, and the schedule then begins to get easier for them after this 9-game road trip. Well, that'll wrap up the lead off, and now it's time for Gabbing with Gibby, brought to you by Tim Hortons. Get your cold on with the new sparkling quenchers from Tim's. They're bubbly, refreshing, and naturally flavored in blackberry, yuzu, and orange ginger. Try your favorite at your nearest Tim's in Canada today. Today on Gabbing with Gibby, brought to you by Tim Hortons, one of the true feel-good stories for the Jays this year, coming off a huge game this past Sunday where he pitched 2 more innings, not giving up a run, got the win. He was named the top prospect by MLB and Baseball America in both 2020 and 2021. Did not play in 2022 due to injury, but fast forward here to 2023. He's experiencing a rebirth for the Blue Jays organization. Let's welcome Nate Pearson to the show. Nate, wonderful to meet you, man.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Hey, we didn't wake you up, did we?
No, I've been up.
I mean, you don't sleep till noon, man. You're not on those baseball hours yet.
Oh no, I am. I definitely could sleep, but off days you gotta enjoy them.
No, we got you. Well, listen, the first time meeting you, we appreciate you coming on, but I'm still pretty connected to a lot of the people up there, and some of my favorite people in the world, and they've always talked about you. Not only what a great pitcher you got a chance to become, right, but what a wonderful human being. So So I salute you for that. But well, tell us a little bit about it, right? You used to be a starter. They put you in the bullpen, right? How's that go? What kind of adjustments did you have to make?
Well, it was pretty smooth transition for me because I was a reliever my freshman year in college. So I kind of just went back to how I did things there and the routine of it. And I think it went pretty smoothly. It's just focus on getting the three guys out that you come into face, and then if you got another one, just keep attacking the zone. And that's all I tell myself, just to keep attacking no matter what. It's been a lot of fun.
Now, did you originally you wanted to be a starter? Is that kind of does it even matter or what?
Yeah, no, I mean, I wanted to be a starter, came up as a starter, debuted as a starter. I think injuries got in the way, and now it's kind of we signed a bunch of guys to some big contracts, and right now we need someone in the pen, and I'm glad to be that guy, provide some length out of the pen. But yeah, I think where the team's at, right now I'm relieving, and I feel like I'm right where I need to be, help the team out, help the team win. So it's been good.
Well, you know what, Nate, when I follow the team, you may end up being the MVP down that bullpen. I know if you think about it, you throw multiple innings for this team, right? That's hard to find. I can remember when I was managing there, it was a little different then. You always had a long man, or you had multiple inning guys, and then you had your one inning guys. But I can remember, I don't know how many times for some of our best relievers, say, hey, can you give us a couple more outs? Nah, I can't do it, blah, blah, blah. It's okay, whatever. They weren't geared for that. But a guy that can do that, what you're doing, multiple innings, it's invaluable to Schneider and the guys, right? Because a lot of guys can't do that. They can try to do it, but they're not as effective. So I got to believe, since you've been up there, and when this is all said and done, you may be the MVP out there just because of that.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool to be the guy that come out and give Schneid's 2 innings. I think it helps me coming from being a starter and just being able to just roll over and just keep grooving. But yeah, it's been good.
Well, but you can maintain your stuff. That's what gets a lot of guys, right? They come in and just crank it up for 1 inning, and it's tough to maintain that because that's kind of the way the game is now, right? You kind of you come in and you air it out, and a lot of guys after 3 outs, man, they're like out of gas. That's the difference. But like you said, it's got to be because you were a starter.
Yeah, no, it's definitely because I'm used to that in between inning, sitting down and then being able to get back up, get hot again. But yeah, that's true. A lot of guys, they come out of that pen with all this adrenaline, and it's like they get those 3 outs, and then just the waiting part of it kind of not gets to them, but like kind of settles them down, and then like getting back going again, trying to find that adrenaline that they came out with is hard to recreate.
It really is. Hey, you know what though? The only thing you're probably going to miss now for being a starter, once every 5 days. You talk about it. You talk about it. Easy life, man. Especially when you're good, man. You pitch 1, then you golf the next 4, then you come back and pitch. Now it's tough when you're scuffling because you can't wait to get back out there. But it's pretty good role. Nothing wrong with being a really good big league reliever. They make a pretty good living too. And you know what you're doing now, you could step into a closer's role someday. You know how all that works.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, nothing better than being in the big leagues as a starter. I watch all these guys, all our starters now. And it's like they especially after a good one, they shove, and it looks like the next 5 days they're the happiest guys ever. And it's pretty good. We got a lot of good starters too. Gauze, Bassett, Barrios, like they're all great dudes too. So it's pretty cool watching work.
And not only that, Nate, man, they make a ton of money.
So much money
for what's it? 30 starts a year. Oh man, I ain't real good at math, but I can figure it out. Johnny, go ahead.
So rich.
All right, thank you, John. Thank you, Gibby. Yeah, I mean, I've been reading so much about you, Nate, and your story and your journey, and just everything that was predicted about you being signed. Spent the career with the Jays, and you've had injuries play a major part of your young career, but now it's all coming together finally for you. I mean, you've already pitched in 16 games this year, and that almost equals what you've done in combination of 2020 and 2021, where you appeared in 17 games. But with all the previous setbacks and now all the contributions, the just amazing performances you put in this year, describe how it feels right now today to be Nate Pearson in the major leagues.
I mean, it feels good. I feel like I'm right where I need to be. Obviously, it hasn't been a smooth road to this point, but I like where I'm at right now, and I like where the team's at, and I feel like there's a good momentum that we have going through this season, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. It's I've seen a lot from the sidelines being hurt and wanting to be out there and just not being able to, and so it's fun to just be here on the road with the guys. We got a big road stretch coming up, so it's going to be a lot of great baseball coming up, and I can't wait for it.
Refresh this summer at Tim's with sparkling quenchers. Bubbly and bursting with natural flavors, our blackberry yuzu and orange ginger sparkling quenchers will add a splash to your cool down. Keep it cold with Tim's new sparkling quenchers.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great season. And you went to winter ball last fall, and then you had a really great spring with the team. I'm sure winter ball helped as well, and then the amazing spring that you did have, and then you didn't make the team in the beginning, which had to be a bit of a surprise for just about everybody. What did they discuss with you when that move was made that were going to start you in AAA? I mean, what was that discussion? In regard to your confidence, and what did they tell you about what the season was going to hold for you?
Yeah, so I didn't really know what exactly was going to happen coming into camp. I had a feeling that could be an outcome, me going to AAA, but I was going to do everything in my can in my power to make it a hard decision for him. And had a good camp, but they decided to go with a different guy right out of camp, and they just told me, "Look, you've had a great spring training. Just keep the momentum and just force us to make a move." And so I was like, "Okay, that's what I'm going to do." And so went to AAA, had a good first month, and they did what they said. They made a move and got me up there, and right now we're just cruising. So we're just gonna keep going.
Nate, your career, the way it started is the way most careers go, right? There's the ups and the downs. You go up to the big league. Very, very few guys take the big league by storm from day one, right? And then all of a sudden it's that doesn't happen too often. Most guys have to go back down, and they come up, and they figure things out. I mean, even look at Gosman, right? I was managing there when Gosman came up with Baltimore. Great arm, but it was a battle for him because I'm going to tell you, guys that throw that hard, it's tough to harness that thing, man. It takes a little bit. It takes a little time, and then Baltimore, for whatever reason, had to move him on, or it couldn't wait any longer. Whatever. I don't remember what it was. And then he finally figured it out. Guys have that good an arm, man. It's not that easy, and it takes most guys' big league career. It takes a little time to get grounded. It really does.
Yeah, no doubt. It's definitely a work in progress trying to harness the raw abilities that some guys possess. Especially, it's pretty cool to see Gosman's career, how it's unfolded. Now he's one of the best pitchers in the league. Coming from his time at Baltimore. He was average, and all of a sudden he just hit a switch and then just put it together, and now he's a beast.
Yeah. Hey, tell me about your slider. I was talking to old Petey Walker, man. Petey says ask him about his swing and miss slider he's got now. Is that something just it's kind of developed, I guess, right? Is that what he's?
Yeah, it's the same slider I've been throwing since I got into pro ball. I kind of just I really just like preset my wrist, and I just throw it like a heater and just rip it. And I have my sights set on where I want to start it, and just rip it. And it's really good against lefties and righties. So it's a good pitch for
me. Hey, Petey's pretty good, isn't he?
Petey's the man. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to handle all of us. We got a bunch of different personalities down there in the bullpen and in the rotation, and he knows how to navigate it all. He's the man.
Hey man, I was laughing, when that series against the Yankees, and he's down at the other end of the dugout screaming at the third base coach. Hey, Petey, get your ass over at the other end, man. You worry about your pitcher, will you? Then he's looking at the other dugout, and they're John, man.
Oh, he gets fired up. He's ready to go, man. He's ready to go whenever we need him.
Well, you know what? There's not a person that's got your back more than that guy. You know.
No doubt.
So,
No doubt. He's there for the boys.
well, listen, hey man, we want to thank you for coming on the show. We really do, and hey, remember when this is like an ex-manager speaking. When you got a guy that can throw more than one inning, you know, and he's really good at it. It's easy to take advantage of that. See, make sure it doesn't get, they don't let him get carried away with all that now, right?
Yeah, no.
You're gonna need a little break now yourself anyway. I'm teasing.
Yeah, no doubt.
They know all that. But listen, hey, you guys have got a good, tough road trip ahead. Stick with it. Keep playing good baseball. You know, it's a long season. You guys got everything you need in place, and you just need that nice little long stretch. So, but listen, we're proud of you. I know everybody raves about you, and you know it's obvious that the Blue Jays, you know, it's where it needs to be now for you. So, good luck to you.
Sure. Yeah, I thank you for having me on. This was awesome. Love talking baseball with you guys.
All right, pal.
Nate. Appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Another great gabbing with Gibby. What a great young man Nate is, John.
Yeah, you know, Johnny, I'd heard about that. I'd heard that from everybody you talked to, and you know, he's really right where he's supposed to be right now. Breaking into the big leagues and finally finding your way, and maybe this may be the best thing they could have done for him to make him a reliever. You know, he said in college at the beginning he was a reliever, and then but very rarely do you find a guy that just, you know what, they just show up, they just take the big leagues by storm, and we even talked about with, you know, Gosman, right? Sometimes it takes a while.
Yeah.
Now the Blue Jays are starting to reap that reward for that, and you know, and a lot of it's confidence. But when you throw that hard, man, it takes a while to harness it. Sometimes figure all that out.
But his stats are incredible. I mean, what a spark he's brought to the team when you have an ERA of 2, your WHIP is under 1, and he's just been phenomenal in the role. And now, you know, he could go in middle relief and go in towards the end of a game to give you a couple of quality innings. And what a great story from this young man. Really good guest today, John. So I really enjoyed that gabbing with Gibby with
Yeah,
Nate.
Johnny, he may be the MVP at the end of the year for that bullpen.
He could be.
Just
He's only
because
26 too. Still a young man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, because all the different roles he goes, like you just said, he goes in early. He could go in late. You know, if Romano Jordy needed a day off or something, he could close it out. You know.
He seems to certainly have that personality and mindset to close if they need him to close. But right now, let's go to inspired by our friends at Miller Lite. We have the roast and toast for the week, and John, today we're going to roast Rawlings. Rawlings, of course, is the maker of baseball equipment, mainly known for their gloves. But here's something that kind of got my goat this week, and they partnered with Gucci. Now, I'm a proud Italian. I know what Gucci is. I've seen Gucci bags, and I know how high-end they are. But here you are, the high-end Italian designer, and Rawlings form a partnership to make a glove, a fielding glove. Right now, they've made one. It's one of a kind, and we have pictures to show everybody as well if you're watching this on the YouTube channel. And they made it and gave it to the Mets' Francisco Lindor, who's a fashion plate in his own regard with his shoes and everything else. But for me, styling and profiling are fine. I know it's a different era. These are young guys who like to flash their equipment, their uniform, their hairstyle. They color their hair blue, red, whatever it may be. The home run jackets, all of that stuff. But I think we've gone too far with a Gucci glove.
Oh, God.
That's the roast for me. What I'm predicting is going to happen is like Lindor's going to be like admiring the glove, and there's a ground ball that comes his way, and he doesn't get down there to pick up the ball. He's looking at how this Gucci glove is making him look like really fashionable. So,
well, you know what the problem is? Guys in the big leagues get all their gloves free, right? So he'll get that free. Whoever, if somebody else starts, the kids in the minor leagues are the people out there. You know, the kids out in Canada and the United States, they got to buy theirs. So that might get a little costly coming from Gucci.
Yeah, well, you're supposed to like the young kids. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to like, all right, a Louisville Slugger bat or Adirondack. Depends on whose name Eddie Kranepool was associated with for me at the time. How is a kid today like playing the Sandlots, playing Little League? Mommy and Daddy, I want one of those Gucci gloves, please.
They'll say, "Hey, son, stick with Wilson."
There you go. Stick with Wilson. But that's the roast. On the toast, we certainly have to toast this week all the dads out there with Father's Day approaching. What do you think, Gibby? A Miller Lite toast to all the dads this week?
Oh yeah, you know what? I can think back to the number of times my father took me out just in the yard to play catch, or took me to Little League. He took me to my first Little League tryout. I wouldn't get out of the car, and luckily he got me on a team somehow with somebody that was a coach that he worked with, and it's good memories. And fathers taking their families to the ball game, and it's really baseball, hot dogs, and Miller Lite, I guess
It
is that
is.
what we say.
It is.
But
And
but you know what? Go ahead.
Yeah, Father's Day is so important. For me, I mean, probably the fondest memory I have of my dad, who I lost in 2004. It was the 1969 season, New York Mets. They're in the World Series, and we didn't, working class family and all of that. And I was sleeping, it was early morning, getting, have to wake up and go to school, and my mom comes in. She goes, "Your dad wants to see you," and I was like, "What did I do?" And I go into his bedroom, and he goes, "You're not going to school today." I was like, "What do you mean? I'm not going to school today?" He goes, "I got World Series tickets." And
Yeah.
it was game 4, was the Tom Seaver game where the Mets won in 10 against Baltimore. It was game 4 where Swoboda made that catch, and I'll never forget that moment because I didn't even know how he scored these tickets, but when I think of my dad, I mean, that's the first thing that pops into my head. So happy birthday in heaven, Dad.
Hey, did he say, "Hey, son, grab your Gucci glove, you might get a foul ball"?
Yeah, right. He was like, I was lucky to get a program, He gave me like $5 for souvenirs, and I get the program, the World Series program. I was so excited. And I saw one of those stamped facsimile autograph balls. I was like, "Dad, can I get one of these baseballs? It's like only $2.50 or whatever it was." He goes, "Those aren't even real. Your program is good. Let's get a popcorn and enjoy the game." And that's what we did.
That's beautiful.
That's what we did.
Hey, that's beautiful. Yeah, so we salute all the old men out there. But hey, one other thing we got to toast too, as an honorable mention. Nick Taylor, Canadian golfer. He won the Canadian Open yesterday. Sunk let me read that, make sure I get this right. A 72-foot eagle putt on the fourth playoff hole. You believe that? And he figured he needed to make that because the guy he was playing the playoff with was in range for a birdie. But the big thing, it ended a 69-year drought for a Canadian golfer to win the Canadian Open. So that's a great honorable mention.
69 years?
Yes.
It is. Great
I lost my
mention,
earpiece.
and,
Yes.
That's okay. That's the roast.
I think the dog got it.
Of course, inspired. Oh no! Inspired by our friends over at Miller Lite.
Corner booths, sticky floors, weekdays that feel like weekends. You never forget the way some things taste. Miller Lite, great taste, 90 calories. Tastes like Miller time.
Well, John, that's going to wrap up this edition of the Gibby Show. Don't forget, for everybody out there, to order a copy of Gibby's book, the best-selling Gibby, Tales of a Baseball Lifer. It is a perfect Father's Day gift. Of course, written by Gibby and Greg Oliver. And final note, for those wondering about the audiobook, John, we did get a little bit of an update. They've pushed the audiobook back until August the 8th for the release. Maybe a lot of editing or something? I don't know.
I don't know, man, but I worked too doggone hard on that, man. It's as simple as it sounds.
I guess they want to make it perfect.
Yes.
They want to make it perfect. So,
with the subject matter, you can't make it perfect.
Yeah,
That's
I
for
think
dang
people are
sure.
going to love it when it comes out. But that's just a bit of an update on that. That's going to wrap it up for this week. For John Gibbons, I'm John Arezzi. We'll talk more baseball with you next week right here on The Gibby Show. Have a great week, everyone. Happy Father's Day to everybody, and go Blue Jays.